Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed live from Los Angeles. I'm Jamie Maggio here with Greg Jennings, Chris Broussard, and Rob Parker in the house.
What's happening? Hey, hey.
What are y'all smiling about?
He is like a kid in a candy store. I was with him when that game ended last night.
The Laker game, of course.
And I think he slept here last night. I
was in the parking lot, and I'm waiting to come on to set you two straight. Jamie, you know I tried to tell him the other day.
You try to tell him every day.
Long season left. Long season left. Relax.
Look at that. Greg he's speechless.
Let's just start, Jamie.
Let's just start. We have a jam-packed show here today. Chris Bosh is going to join us later on in studio to discuss whether LeBron will ever find a co-star, but we are going to start with yet another loss by the Lakers. They went up against the lowly Hawks last night, but the result didn't go as planned. LeBron had a triple-double, 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 16 assists, but it wasn't enough. LA's defense continued to struggle, giving up 117 points to Atlanta. Trae Young scored 22 points and sealed the deal late in the fourth with a layup on LeBron. The Lakers are now a game under 500 heading into the All-Star break and are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. But Rajon Rondo said he's, quote, not concerned at all. Take a listen to LeBron after the game.
You got to decompress and get away from the game for a little bit. Those guys have a lot more time than I will, obviously. I'll be right back into it in 2 days, but just get fresh, get your minds right, get your bodies right, come back with the notion that we're gonna make the playoffs.
How close are you to the point where you start worrying about the playoffs? Is that getting close?
Until you either make it or don't make it, that's when you worry about it.
25 games left in the Lakers season here. Is it too early to hit the panic button?
First of all, the Hawks have been playing good basketball.
Oh, here we go.
Trae Young is coming into his own, all right?
That's where we're going with the Hawks?
No. Now, look, I'm totally with LeBron and Rondo. I don't think the All-Star break could come at a better time for the Lakers. It does give them time to decompress. 9 days before their next game, I think the young guys can get their minds straight. LeBron can rest, get his body straight. Lonzo, he won't be right back, but he could be back. So I think this is good for them. That said, there's no excuse. No excuse. None. I mean, the Hawks, you can't let it happen. LeBron was good. He missed some layups. He was struggling at the end. Rondo didn't play well. I'm struggling to find.
You are struggling.
Rob,
Chris Broussard is struggling.
Rob can't wait.
LeBron, I think, was fatigued. 43 minutes. Luke's got to find him time to rest. All right. The rest of the guys, 8 for 14 from free throw line. 57%. LeBron made 9 of 10 or 9 of 11 for him. That was good. But they struggled mightily. Defensively, they gave up 10 threes in the first quarter. You can't do that. They got better, and then in the fourth, when their defense played well, held the Hawks to 17 points, they couldn't score. So the Lakers, that is a horrible loss. That said, I still believe firmly, Mr. Parker, that they will make the playoffs. 25 games left. Clippers, Kings. The problem for the Lakers is that it's going to be tougher to get to the 7th seed. San Antonio now and Utah both tied 4 games ahead of them. And that's going to be the challenge because, obviously, if you get the 8th seed, you're meeting Golden State. And so you don't want that. What I did like from LeBron was that he played that last quarter like he really wanted the win. And that's why I think when he goes back, decompresses, that he's going to come back for these last 25 games and really make a strong push. At this point, don't even be thinking about Western Conference Finals, second round. Get to the playoffs. Even if it's Golden State, get there and get swept, but get to the playoffs. And I think they're going to be much better after the break. they just set, like, the tone last night. All right, they come at the first possession, 12 seconds into the game, Kyle Kuzma misses a layup. Now, I'm not putting it all on Kuzma. He was okay last night. He had, 19 points. But that set a tone. They missed 14 layups. 14 layups last night. So this was a game where they just didn't whether it was mentally they thought they could just beat the Hawks or they're a bad team or whatever it was, they didn't have it. And that's one of those losses where if they don't get the 7th seed, I'm not even entertaining Rob Parker that they won't get the 8th seed. If they don't get the 7th seed, they are going to look back at this game, and it's going to be one of the many that they point to.
Chris
So they are
Broussard,
still in it.
Read my lips right here.
Do I have to?
Yes, please. The Lakers are not good with or without LeBron James. And I'm going to tell you, you guys keep poo-pooing it. They will not make the playoffs. This is not a good basketball team. And I got three losses that will confirm that. When they lost to the Knicks at home, the Knicks, since they beat the Lakers, have lost 17 straight. When they lost to the Cavaliers, I don't care. I'm just telling you, that's why I'm saying this team is not good either way. They lost to the Cavaliers. They're 3-10 since that. And then they lose to the Hawks with LeBron James. And this is my point. I know he had a triple-double, a phony triple-double that didn't really matter because they couldn't close out. There was a 4-minute stretch where the Hawks couldn't score in the fourth quarter, trying to give the game to the Lakers. And the Lakers could not, with LeBron James on the court. You could say it's an effect from the injury and he's still not there, but he doesn't look that good to me. Right. And I know he put up numbers. He filled the stat sheet. He's not that player, and this is not that team. Everybody thought he was the magical elixir, and they have the young core, and these guys are going to do something, and wow, once they get with LeBron. I'm telling you, they've lost 8 of 11. They're 2-4 in their last 6, and LeBron's back now. So you could talk about wait till LeBron and wait till they do this and wait till they do that. I told you the other day, they painted themselves in such a bad corner where their margin of error is so slim. I told you they were a bad win away from losing to an Atlanta or some other bad team to where they won't make the playoffs. I'm more convinced than ever that LeBron James will not, N-O-T, read my lips, Chris Broussard, will not make the playoffs. You're talking about, forget about the 7th spot and they're going to make the 8th spot. I'm not convinced. You're convinced after last night?
I'm convinced.
Nothing you saw last night, Greg Jennings, convinced you that the Lakers are a good team. LeBron played well. I'm talking about numbers-wise. Maybe not inside the game when you really look at it closely, but he put up the numbers. He can't play better than that, and you can't beat the Atlanta Hawks.
He missed 3 driving layups late in the game. I talked about all the layups they missed. He missed 3 of them in the fourth quarter.
Chris,
himself.
This is not an aberration. They're 28-29. We're at the All-Star break. There are 25 games left. Stop. You're imagining things. You're living in the past. This is not the Eastern Conference, the Eastern Conference, where LeBron could just roll out and win games. You can't beat the Atlanta Hawks in a game you had to win after what happened against, not Boston. That's the one game they won. Philadelphia. After that game, you don't rally back and say, we got a 9-game break coming, go all out, beat this Hawks team, and then go into the second half thinking that we can get this thing turned around. If you're a Laker fan, you should be panicked. You should be sickened.
Are you ready? You're convinced.
I'm absolutely.
You're speaking with your chest. You saying it with
My
some
chest
bass.
is stuck out
Some bass
today.
in your voice. Are you ready to put the Air Jordans on the line?
Yes,
that's how we really know if Air Jordans, a
You
pair
see that?
of Air Jordans,
absolutely.
that the Lakers will make the playoffs.
Not
the 7th seed, the 8th seed.
No, they won't make the playoffs.
All right, there it is. You saw it, America.
All right,
Can't wait.
Now that we have that settled.
Go ahead, puff up your chest.
The Lakers can't panic, and they shouldn't panic because you do still have LeBron James. It was a bad loss. I mean, I watching that game last night, I was at a loss of words. I literally was at a loss because they played well enough to win that game, but they just couldn't pull it out. And I'm looking like, what else could they have done? You mentioned the layups that they were missed. They missed a lot of gimmies, but they give up so many easy buckets.
At the basket.
They give so many easy buckets up. You can't win games like that. And when I look at that, when you have a team and you have a player like LeBron James and you have a lot of talent, and they do have talent, it boils down to then we got to take a look at this head coach. And Luke Walton, is he that guy? Because when you have a LeBron James and he puts up these numbers, 28, a triple-double, 15 assists, he's passing the ball around, getting everybody involved, and you can't find a way to win, now you have to start looking other places, and Luke Walton is the place you have to look. Is this the coach that can get everybody to buy in and put everything on the line every single time they step on the court? Because it doesn't matter how much talent you have. If you're not willing to go into an arena every single night and say, we have to win this game, they're not going to just lay down for us. That's what it looks like the Lakers do sometimes.
And that's where they are now. Nobody, I'm telling you, is afraid of the Lakers.
Absolutely
when
not.
they come to town.
And they shouldn't
be. Right? They're not that team, even with LeBron.
They shouldn't be. And I think, to your point, watching LeBron James, he looks fatigued. He looks out of gas. Like you mentioned 43 minutes in a game against the Atlanta Hawks.
But that's what they
right
need.
Before a game against the Atlanta Hawks, you're thinking, I may be able to get some time of rest in this game going into the break because I still do have to go into the All-Star game and weekend and participate in all different activities, functions, as well as playing the game. So that's gonna create some fatigue on LeBron's side. I just believe that when you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, you can't panic, because you still do have LeBron James, and we know his track record. But you have to have a sense of urgency about who's leading this team. You have to have a sense of urgency when you step on that arena, that hardwood, and you got to get it done, period. And I'm almost willing to lean, but I can't do it because LeBron James. And
I was in your head last night when you were watching that game.
You were in my head. I'm not gonna lie. You were in my head. I was like, Rob is gonna. There's nothing I can say that I can defend the Lakers or myself of previous statements. But I will say this: what is most intriguing about all of this is, if they do make the playoffs, which I do believe they still will, this will be LeBron James, the 8th seed. You talk about getting just to the 8th seed. This will be LeBron James' first time being outed in the first round of the playoffs. Ever.
Now, he's missed them twice.
He's missed them. Yeah, he's missed them twice his first two. But when he's in,
right, I get it.
He's never been outed in the first round. And to me, that is going to be a dagger for LeBron James.
But this is why they were so desperate for AD. They know that the supporting cast isn't good enough. And this is what I'm gonna keep going back to. Those guys aren't good enough. Even with LeBron, they knew it. That's why they were desperate, saying, we'll give you everything we have, whatever it takes, because they know moving forward, that's why I don't believe in them. You asked me the other day, how you believe in Sacramento and the Clippers? No, I don't believe in the other guys on LeBron's team. And LeBron put an ounce of doubt in their own heads as you move forward. You could say they got to shake it off, they're professional. I don't care who you are. You're a human being. And once somebody proves to you that you don't believe in them,
then they shouldn't be professional athletes.
It's in there. It's in there.
Come on.
Yes, I'm with
Trade
you there.
rumors are always
it's in there.
Because this won't be the only time that they're mentioned
the whole
trade
team.
rumors.
It's not like you have one or two guys.
Rob, if anything, it drives you to prove
Right.
them wrong.
I don't think so.
I don't think Kuzma's bothered.
No, I don't think.
Now, maybe a guy here or there, but that's what this break is for. Get yourself right. Everybody's doubting, not everybody, but most people are doubting Lonzo Ball. Most people are doubting Brandon Ingram. Not just LeBron, not just the front office. Go get it right. Set it right. Take forth the challenge. And look, I don't want to come off like a Luke Walton defender. I'm not saying that the guy is a great head coach or anything. And he's going to be the scapegoat. But I don't think it's fair. And to your point, I don't think he should be fired over the break. To your point, though, I don't think he'll be there next year, assuming they either miss the playoffs or make it and get bounced early by Golden State.
You said miss the playoffs? Oh, I'm getting
Well,
Jordan.
I'm just being objective.
All right.
And so you think what they would do is bring in Brian Shaw. You're not getting any coach worth his salt to come in at this point in the season.
Not with 25 games.
So you're right.
ago.
It would be Brian Shaw the rest of the way. And sometimes a change like that, it may not be the long term, but it can get a jolt out of the team. But let me just say this about Luke. First of all, we know it can be challenging, whether it was Ty Lue, David Black, Eric Spoelstra, to coach LeBron. It's challenging because expectations rise to the roof, and he plays a certain way, and you play differently when he's not on the floor than you do when he's on the floor. And then the injuries. LeBron's missed 18. Rondo's missed 34 games. B.I., Brandon Ingram's missed 11. Lonzo's missed 10 and gonna miss more probably. So I just think it's not this to put this on Luke Walton with the mistakes he's made, playing LeBron 43 minutes last night. Get him just a break at the end of the first quarter and beginning of the second quarter, which you have. But, you know, you can stretch out breaks for him. He's made some mistakes, but I don't think he is the number one problem.
Well, see, here's my only thing.
Team.
And I hear you. The injuries you could talk about. LeBron's back now. He's out there playing. You got Rondo back. If it wasn't for that great shot by Rondo, his first ever game winner, look where you would be. And LeBron is back. Defensively, like you talked about, Greg, come on. I'm sorry. You watched LeBron last night.
He's playing no defense.
He's playing no defense. That's where you can't have that and be able to win games. I don't care who you're playing. If you don't play defense, you're going to have a hard time, even beating the Hawks, who had only won 18 games coming into last night.
You make a good point. And Chris, to your point about Luke Walton in sport, and we all know this. If you miss the opportunity to trade these guys and acquire Anthony Davis, it doesn't stop right there. You playing chess doesn't stop. You continue to look at chess moves, and your next move is, whether scapegoat or not, is Luke Walton. And I'm not saying,
because there's nothing else to do.
There's nothing else to do. You're in a corner. You have to do something to spark some type of energy, to get some change, to shake things up within your organization, in that locker room, to get these guys to play better. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying Luke Walton is a bad coach, but he didn't get it done with them last year, which we give him a pass for that, because they still are young, but they were all young without a LeBron James. So there was no expectation. LeBron James comes in town, and now you have to figure out how to coach him, but at the same time allow these young players to mature alongside of LeBron James. Now their playing style is completely different. Your coaching style is completely different. I get all of that, but at the end of the day, this is what comes with you guys said it yesterday, having a superstar, specifically LeBron James.
I don't think that should fall on Luke. And I understand that he will be the scapegoat, but I don't think that's fair, because it is a tall task to have this young group of guys that then you have to bring in a star like LeBron and make it all work. That's not easy to do. And like you said, no coach has had a good time doing that. And to your point about the sense of urgency, had Rondo not made that shot, they would have gone 1-5 on the Grammy trip heading to the All. That's terrible.
Right.
That is terrible. And then they come out of the All-Star break and they're going to have James Harden on their hands on the 21st. So if they're not playing with a sense of urgency, is that Luke's problem? Or is that LeBron's problem?
It's not Luke's problem, but maybe he's lost the locker room. If you've lost the locker room, no matter how good of a coach you are, you have to go. And if the front office has decided, we've talked about it, he's not Magic and Pelinka's man.
They didn't hire him.
They're getting some fire now.
Right.
And so they can always point to, hey, we don't have our coach. It's not our coach we hired. If they've already decided this is not the guy going forward, even if we let him go this year, he's not going to be our coach next year, then maybe you just do it now. Again, I don't think that would be the right move. I don't think it would be certainly the fair move. I think he would be a scapegoat.
And I'll give you this. I know you don't want to hear it, But LeVar Ball keeps railing on Luke Walton, and people can poo-poo him and say, what does he know? His son is in that locker room, and whether or not it's true and that guys don't like him or want to play for him, whenever you hear something and and you just wonder, that his son's in that locker room with those other players. Is he just repeating it? And he says it very confidently, not like I'm guessing, but like I know that there's a problem there. So you keep hearing that. That's something that you can look back at.
He says a lot of stuff.
No,
like
I know.
With confidence.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in that sense because of his son.
The thing, too, with you mentioned the defense, they were a really good defensive team. For like November 1st into maybe mid to late January, they were like a top 5 defense in the league as far as efficiency. And then they fell off. Defense, like we talked about their minds not being right because of the trade deadline. Defense is offense. Everybody wants to get theirs no matter what, right? Even if you're not happy with the situation, you still want to go get your buckets. But defensively, it's about buckling down. It's about hard work. It's about commitment. It's about communication too. And that is where you could see it show up that if they're not together, if their minds are still jacked up, that's where it could show on the defensive end. And they have plummeted to a bad defensive team over the last few weeks. Lonzo's a part of that, missing him, but there's other issues.
Yeah, I honestly, now, if we want to point blame and put fault on I fault LeBron James when it comes to defensively, because when you are a leader, when you are looked at as the superstar, I get it. You're not the two-way player that you once were. But if you're not willing to give effort, and you're allowing guys to just run into the paint and run by you, and you got your back to players, and they're just cutting and slashing behind you, and you're not paying attention because you're trying to look at everybody. LeBron, I need your attention to detail to be just as locked in as you want ours to be all through the game. And defensively, on the other side of the court, he's not locked in. And it's evident.
Right. Because and other players look at that and they go, he won't even commit to playing defense.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the fatigue factor. But again, you mentioned it. Defense is about buckling down. You're going to be tired. You're going to be gassed. But I still need to stop you from scoring in order for us to have an opportunity to win. And that's what LeBron James isn't doing. And when you're a leader and the young guys see that, if you buckle down, guaranteed they buckle down.
Right. Got to lead by example.
This is going to be a colossal flop for LeBron James in his first year in Los Angeles.
He's like, look at him. He's like, just be glad he didn't make you read his lips, okay?
It might come later.
It's not a pretty sight.
No, it's not. I give you divorce. I give you last night. I give you last night.
Look, you needed a victory. It's been a tough month. I'm happy for you. Okay. It's been a tough month.
He's happy for you for right now.
Yes.
Are the Celtics in the Sixers' heads after beating them once again last night? Don't forget, you can check us out every day on the Fox Sports channel on Sirius XM. We're going to be right back.
No mercy.
Hey guys, Jenny Taft here with a quick word about Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos all commission-free. While other brokerages charge up to $10 for every trade, Robinhood doesn't charge any commission fees, so you can trade stocks and keep all of your profits. Plus, there is no account minimum deposit needed to get started, so you can start investing at any level. The simple, intuitive design of Robinhood makes investing easy for newcomers and experts alike. View easy-to-understand charts and market data and place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. You can also view stock collections, such as 100 most popular. With Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market as you build your portfolio, discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. Robinhood is giving listeners of Undisputed a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. Sign up at undisputed.robinhood.com. Now, back to the show.
No mercy.
The Celtics were called out recently by Marcus Morris and were without Kyrie Irving last night, but they responded in a big way as they continued to dominate the Sixers. Boston held on late to pull off the upset on the road and have now beaten them in 10 out of their last 12 games. Joel Embiid was so frustrated after the game, he ended his press conference saying, quote, "These refs bleeping suck." Boston and Philly are now tied for the 4th seed in the East. Embiid is going to have to pay a fine for that one. But
yes, he will.
Chris, how concerned should the Sixers be about their struggles with Philly?
Very. The Philadelphia 76ers are 2-10 versus Boston since the start of last season. 2-10, and that includes that 4-1 series victory that Boston had over them in the playoffs last year. And it pains me to say this because from essentially day one when they got together, I have been on the record. I'm a big fan of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I've said they could be the next Shaq, Penny, if not greater. When you talk about, Kareem, Magic, just a point guard, big man combo that could win championships. That's what they could be. And if they meet Boston, the fan in me will be pulling for Philadelphia. But all that said, there is absolutely, positively no way that the Philadelphia 76ers this year can beat the Boston Celtics in the playoff series.
What? I didn't hear you. What was that?
No way, no how. No, that would be the most, other than Golden State, that series and competitive teams matched up, that's the one I would be the most confident about. And right now they are the 4 and 5 seed. And here's why. Philadelphia has more talent. And I'm saying with or without Kyrie. If Kyrie plays, Philly loses. If Kyrie sits, Philly loses. Because when you watch these two teams play, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are not yet mature enough as basketball players to beat a team like Boston. Boston is the antithesis of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a bunch of talent. We win on talent. Boston is we win on execution. We win on grit. We win on doing the right thing, making the right play, hitting the open man. And even though it changes a little with Kyrie, Kyrie has shown he's a winner. He's arguably the best closer in the league, and he will be there in the clutch. You look at that series last year, you look at the game last night, when it comes down to the close moments, Philadelphia makes a mistake, and Boston doesn't. Last night, Philly's down 9 with 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They have a nice little run, cut it to 4 with 3.5 minutes left. Ben Simmons gets a rebound. They push it. He kicks to Embiid. Embiid takes a three-pointer. You take a three-pointer, you are 30% free throw shooter. You are the best center in the NBA. Nobody can stop you on the block. You're an 81% foul shooter, and you're taking a three-pointer at that point in the game. Why? Why? And so you look at the end of the game, they didn't get the good shots that they want. And Brett Brown, I think, is a good coach. But he gets out coached badly when they play Boston. Brad Stevens runs circles around him. And so that's why I think they would have a shot against Toronto. I'd pick Toronto. I think they have a shot against Milwaukee. I'd pick them. They have no shot against Boston. So they better hope either they or the Celtics can move up to catch Indiana for that 3rd seed. Because if they meet each other, Boston or Philly is out in the first round.
That's a strong statement. I disagree. I think that the Sixers can beat the Celtics. I don't like the way they play against the Celtics, and the reason why is because of the coaching. When I look at the way the Boston Celtics play, and I'll eliminate Kyrie Irving, they just play hard and tough from start to finish. When I look at the Sixers, they have so much athletic ability. Sometimes they rely on that versus the fundamentals of playing basketball. And you mentioned the lack of maturity. It doesn't even take the maturity for them to understand, Embiid, let's play inside out. And in that game, if he plays inside out more than settling, they beat the Celtics. And I think that's just a matter of them understanding, look, know who we are. Let's not try to conform to the rest of the NBA and what everybody else does and fall in love with three-point shots. Know who we are, understand your dominance, and I think that's why they can beat the Celtics in a series, and I don't think they have to worry about the Celtics as far as, yes, we've lost 2 out of the last 10. I don't care about that. What I see is a team that is athletic enough, talented enough, that just needs to understand how to be disciplined when playing a disciplined, sound team, a team that is going to grind and grit no matter what. Jimmy Butler. When I look at the Boston Celtics, they have guys that are they're tough guys. They're they're back guys. Marcus Smart, Marcus Morris. Those 2 guys are Jaylen Brown defensively. Tough. Right. That's what they do. When I look at the Sixers, Jimmy Butler is that guy for them, and he has not been that because he's so worried about falling to the shadows with all this talent around him instead of just being the guy. Get back to what you do best and being one of the best two-way players in all of the National Basketball Association, and the 76ers will be just fine. Until Jimmy Butler realizes that is his most valuable asset to any team, specifically where he is right now, they're going to struggle. He is a veteran in that locker room. He understands what it takes. He's been to conference finals. He's been in dog fights in the playoffs. He understands with the Bulls in that team against LeBron James. He's stepped up to the plate and taken on challenges to where he has to be that voice of leadership. It's not always about scoring points. They have a plethora of guys that can score points in various ways. I think it comes down to, are you going to be willing, kind of like what we talked about with the Lakers, are you going to be willing to bow your back and grind and be disciplined defensively and be tough? And that's what I see that the Sixers lack sometimes, is that toughness. And they can't be that, they can't lack that when you have the most physically dominating presence in all of the sport in Joel Embiid. Don't settle, to your point. There was a point in that game, I want to say it was 94-94, and Joel Embiid settled for the 3 when he clearly had an advantage inside. Now, Al Horford, I think he does one of the best jobs defending Joel Embiid, head up, one-on-one, but he can't stop Joel. Joel Embiid has to understand, if I can just impose my will early and often, Al Horford is no factor.
Often it is Joel Embiid who stops himself.
Exactly. So I disagree with you when it comes to there's no way, no how that they can beat the Celtics. They can definitely beat the Celtics.
Who would you favor in the series?
I would favor the Sixers.
I'm with Greg. Chris, no way, no how is way strong. And it's not like they're getting blown out, and they can't compete. And now when you add, to me, when you look at their team with Butler and Tobias Harris and those 4 guys and J.J. Redick, they have enough firepower. I'm always going to take talent over know-how. And I get it, making the right plays and all the extra stuff that they do. But they just need to clean up and do some of the, play more sound basketball at the end of games. It's not like a major overhaul. Oh, my God, we can't do this no matter what we do. Yes, we know what the Sixers are doing and what they're shooting themselves in the foot that they can clean up. They have enough talent, and I get it. They've owned them for a stretch, but does that mean they can't beat them this year? They got these last 25 games or so to work everybody in, let Tobias Harris, everybody get comfortable. And now in the playoff run, just like you said, you're going to have a Jimmy Butler who's been through some of those things. And it's not just like last year when you had just Simmons and Embiid trying to do something that they had never even experienced before.
I agree with both you guys. I mean, talent-wise, Philadelphia has much more talent than Boston, especially when Kyrie's out. But it's not easy to do what you said. I mean, just tighten up the end of the game. I mean, we've seen that going back to last year's playoffs. We've seen it in virtually every game this year between those two teams. They don't have a leader on the court. Like, again, Simmons and Embiid are still young, too young, and I don't think basketball mature enough to lead. And then Butler, we know he's had problems leading at wherever he's been. Tobias is a very good player. He's new. He's not really ever been in that leadership role on an NBA team. So they don't have a guy that's going to be the leader out there. And like last year when they met him in the playoffs, there were a lot of times you felt, why don't they go to Embiid on the block at the end of the game? And they didn't.
But that might be coaching, what you're talking about.
Well,
there.
I think
that might be.
It shows
part
up
of it.
in this series more than any, whether it's out of bounds plays or getting the right shot at the right time. And like I said, I think Brett's done a good job with them. But if they don't tighten these things up, I don't see any way they can beat Boston this year in the playoffs.
This is where I feel like Russell Westbrook, what he's been able to do, finally, take a step back and not put up as many shots and understand I can be just as effective and important doing other things. Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, has to be that guy for this Philadelphia 76ers team, to where offensively, I'm not needed as much. We still know you're going to score. We still need your points, but we don't need them in volume like you had to do with the Minnesota Timberwolves. We don't need that Jimmy Butler. We need the Jimmy Butler that was in Chicago, that we can match up with any star that's across from us, and you can eliminate them. You can wash them out. And that's where the leadership starts right there for me with this 76ers team. If Jimmy Butler decides, you know what, I'm going to scale back offensively, that doesn't mean you can't still get – it doesn't mean that.
Right.
But you draw back a little bit offensively to show I'm going to do everything else. Look, you're still a star in this. We know the value that you possess and that you have going to any team outside of the 76ers or free agents, whatever the case may be. But until Jimmy Butler does that, I think the 76ers will still look and appear immature because everybody is about pride and ego. And Joel Embiid, in my opinion, doesn't understand how important it is to – Shaq said something last night where I can't remember who it was, had mentioned that Joel Embiid – matter of fact, it was Elton Brand said that Joel Embiid is the best big man that he's ever gone up against. He's been up against Shaq in his prime and someone else in their prime. And he said Joel Embiid is better. And Shaq said he's going to have to prove it. He's going to have to live up to that. Right. And living up to that is not behind the three-point arc. It's developing that presence inside, out first. And until he does that, he's just going to be another big that has all this potential that we didn't see it maximized.
Well, you got to spend a lot of time talking about the Sixers side of that game, but credit to the Celtics for doing it without Kyrie. Next
they do that all the time.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the X factor moving forward.
Most when it gets to the playoffs.
No mercy.
Next up, guys, is it over for Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh? AB made it seem that way yesterday when he tweeted, quote, "Thank you, Steeler Nation, for a big 9 years. Time to move on and forward." Brown and the Steelers have had a rocky relationship recently, including Brown being deactivated before their final game when they failed to make the playoffs. Now, Brown has been a Pro Bowler the last 6 straight years, but he also has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, and he's going to be turning 31 in July. So, Greg, would you want AB on your team at this point?
Absolutely. It's not even a question.
No?
It's not even a question. When I look at the production, and again, we talk about this often, the production, does it outweigh what I'm getting involved with? Absolutely. And what tells me that? I look at these 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and they're not just subpar numbers. They're better than most receivers' 6 seasons of their best. 6 seasons of their best. That's the type of production you get out of an Antonio Brown. Will he make an offense better? No doubt in my mind. There's teams that will look at this situation and say, you know what? He can make us better. Several teams, the Niners being one of them, the Raiders potentially, the Green Bay Packers need another receiver, a receiver that can take on and be a big play guy.
Can you imagine catching the ball from Aaron Rodgers?
When I even,
can.
exactly. The New Orleans Saints, they need another option. These are teams that Antonio Brown is one of those talents that you don't run into every so often. He's a special, unique talent, and everyone wants to make it out to be. And I've said he needs to dial back on some of the things that he's doing. But when I see a player asking for a trade, it's more than just what meets the eye. It's beyond just the surface things of, there's conflict or there's something going on within that locker room. Le'Veon Bell sitting out a full year, foregoing $14 million and some odd change and not playing. Something's going on in Pittsburgh that is still there that Antonio Brown doesn't want to deal with anymore. Le'Veon Bell is like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. They're going to have to figure it out without Antonio Brown. And another thing, the production side of it. You look at Antonio Brown on the football field and you say, man, he's going to give me a 1,000-yard season every single time and 100 catches every single year. Well, that's with him on the – and then you look at Juju Smith-Schuster, and everybody's so excited about Juju. I love what I see out of Juju. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. But he's the player that he is right now because of Antonio Brown. Let's not misunderstand that. A lot of those guys – and you will be asking a James Conner to add more to his load, Jesse James, tight end, Vance McDonald to add more to his load, James Washington, a young rookie that they just acquired, and a Ryan Switzer to produce more, and a Ben Roethlisberger to carry even more of the load. That's a lot of load because you're losing a lot of production, and those shoes, although you feel like, and every team has to move on from players from time to time, but when a player like this wants out, it's not a good look on the organization and what's going on in that locker room.
Will that coverage shift over to Juju, right?
It's gonna shift over to Juju, and then will he be able to put up those numbers that we saw him put up this year?
I agree with just about everything you said. I mean, Antonio Brown obviously is a tremendous player. I would want him on my team. If I'm the team that's going to trade for him, though, and I think Pittsburgh would be amenable to you talking with him first. And I think you need, I say this somewhat softly, to lay down the law, and you're not going to, I don't mind him being who he is. His personality, the furs, heck, even a helicopter. If you want to take a helicopter to training camp or whatever, that's on you. But I would want certain things like when we're in training camp, you're with the team. The whole thing in Pittsburgh was, obviously you get rid of the videotape and Facebook Live and all that in the locker room.
You know what?
You lay down, you tell him certain things that you expect of him because the reports are that in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin would say, as long as the production outweighs the distractions, we'll put up with it. Once you start soft, you can't go hard as a coach because the players will see it as phony. That's not really you. I think if a coach starts hard, and again, not offensive, you respect Antonio as a man, but this is how we do it here. And if he's amenable to that and agrees to that, I can always get softer. But I want to start hard with him and let him know what we're trying to do. I would want him on my team so much that if I'm Pittsburgh, I think there would be one inkling of hope. All right, and there's not a lot because the owner gave an olive branch. Some players gave out olive branches, and Antonio wasn't listening to that. I don't know if he's tried to reach out, but Ben Roethlisberger, you are about to lose one of the best receivers in the league, a guy you have a great connection with on the field. You need to humble yourself and call Antonio Brown. Try to set up a meeting, man to man, face to face, hear him out.
That ship sailed.
It's gone.
He can't do it?
There's
gone. No way.
That ship is
so
sailed.
if he tries to reach, has he tried?
It's gone.
He can't reach out.
It's gone. He can reach out.
Antonio wouldn't hear it?
It's too late for that. It's too late for that. When you look at the New England Patriots and you look at Julian Edelman and you look at Tom Brady, that's the relationship that receivers want with their quarterback. Simple. It's not. Julian Edelman is this great receiver, but he has a greater relationship with his quarterback, not just on the football field, off the football field. And I'm not saying you have to be buddy,
right.
and you got to be best friends, and you got to be flying together. I'm not saying all of that, but it has to be real off the field in order for it to continue to work on the field. And that's what's not there in Pittsburgh. Everyone wants to make it seem like Ben Roethlisberger has extended this olive branch and has reached out and is willing to do that. That's not always true.
You just mentioned,
but if he did it, it wouldn't. Antonio wouldn't hear it.
You mentioned the New England Patriots. It would never happen where they would make a trade, but AB would fit in because he's so good with the video camera stuff. So that would work in New England.
Stop.
He would fit in many. Like,
but I'm gonna say
I'd
this.
love to see him there, but it won't happen.
It won't happen. But I'm with you. A guy of his production, I'm going to make any effort to add a player of that caliber to my team. I just am. And I'll look at that 15 touchdowns in 15 games, which is 6 straight years of 1,000 yards. I mean, that's the kind of guy who's a game changer.
Yes.
You're not adding somebody in who you're like, well, we'll see. No. He immediately gets attention. He immediately is going to open up the field for other people and other things we want to do. And I think when you look at Pittsburgh, I'm with you. It's closed. The door is closed there. He needs to move on, and he needs to get to a spot where people will embrace him. And that baggage, if I'm another team, I say that was in Pittsburgh, and I don't know all the other interworkings like you brought up. Le'Veon had an issue there. Ben had some issues with some teammates or whatever. I'm going to let him come here and let him – I hear what you're saying about let him know what we expect here. But other than that, you come here to play football. We want you to be productive. Obviously, if he crosses the line or does something that – then I'll just decide we're going to move on. But I'm going to give him that respect of you're a great football player. We brought you here to play football. Whatever happened in the past is the past. We're looking forward to what you can deliver for us as we move forward.
With all that has happened with Antonio Brown, have we heard any of his teammates talk about what a bad teammate he is or how bad he is for the locker room? No, we have not heard that. We've not heard that one time. And it's because when you meet Antonio Brown, great personality, vibrant, he's a good young man. Now, I'm not saying he's everything that everybody wants to be and aspire to be. I'm not saying all of that.
Why do the receivers get such a bad rap?
The receivers get a bad rap because immediately Antonio's one of those guys, he likes to look good. He likes to be that's who he is. He's flashy. So he fits that mode of diva receiver. But what people don't understand is to fit that mode of diva receiver or to have this type of perception, you got to be one of the hardest working guys in the business. And that's what he is. Every single day, getting up early. It doesn't matter how late he's out or late he's up, working out every single morning. Odell Beckham, same way. Like, they understand what's really important. And you will take that on your team because you value that. And when I look at Antonio Brown and the production that he can provide, a lot of teams out there, they're going to look at this situation and say, I'll take him.
So, Greg, when he missed that last game, he had to be cut deep for him not to be a part of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that where the situation in Pittsburgh really severed for him? Because if he really cares and works hard and puts in all his energy for him not to come to a game, that had to be the part where he got severed, where he said, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it has to do with he's frustrated with just the situation that he's in and the relationship that he has with his quarterback. Because he's producing all of these numbers and he doesn't have a great relationship with his quarterback. And that's the misconception that most receivers have this great relationship with their quarterback. And it's just not the case. And regardless of how much we call receivers divas, quarterbacks are just as much divas.
We call you a diva on this show because you're trying to deal with you.
You know what I mean?
Athletes are divas.
I can say that. I mean, but when you have a sense of pride about what you can provide in any situation, this show or your employer, it doesn't matter. you're going to carry yourself a certain way. It may look different from person to person, but as long as you're doing your job, who cares? And that's when Antonio Brown, what he can provide. I look at even the Colts, a situation with Andrew Luck and Antonio Brown, and
he did great there.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that are going to really have to assess. And again, the draft is coming, it's looming, so you're going to look at guys that you can potentially get at a lower number. But Antonio Brown's going to be a lot of radar.
And that's the interesting thing is how the Steelers are going to navigate through this, because you have to imagine they're going to try and bolster that offense with Bell and AB leaving. And if they trade him before June 1st, which they're going to want to do to get those draft picks, they leave $21 million dead money on the books, that's tough to swallow.
It's tough for me to swallow, not.
Yeah, right. It's tough for me. I'll never see $21 million. Will Rob Parker's boy, Tom Brady, keep winning more and more Super Bowls? What do you think, Rob? We'll discuss next.
No mercy.
Tom Brady recently won his NFL record 6th Super Bowl, but he is definitely not settling for next season. Brady sent a message yesterday that won't sit well with the other teams in the league. The Patriots posted an image on Instagram that shows Brady at the team's Super Bowl parade holding up 6 fingers. Brady responded with 7 fingers to represent yet another Super Bowl trophy. So, Rob, I know you have a special love in your heart for Tom Brady and the Patriots. What do you think? Is he going to get a 7th ring?
You know he's not getting a 7th ring. Stop it. He was lucky to get a 6th ring, and Tom Brady
was... a 5th and a 4th.
No, but Tom Brady was along for the ride. Can I remind you about the Super Bowl? And Tom Brady looked more like Peter Brady in that Super Bowl, the last one. He had no touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 fumble.
And they lost?
No, they won the Super Bowl.
They won.
Was he in for that game-winning drive? Was that him, or was that the backup?
He was so bad in that game, they couldn't even give him the MVP. They gave it to a wide receiver who didn't even have a touchdown in the game. All I'm saying is, thank God the defense gave him this Super Bowl like it was a parting gift. Like they should give you on the game shows, you know, when you lose, they usually give you something. Tom Brady looked all of 41 years old. He did not look like the guy who everybody thinks is going to play till he's 50 and he's the feeding father time. He looked almost like Peyton Manning. Remember when the Broncos gave him that Super Bowl? Yes, he was bad.
He threw for twice as many yards as
Yeah, but they were dinks and dunks. He tossed the ball. I could toss the ball to Greg and he run 40 yards. That's what Tom Brady was relegated to. Bill Belichick knows that. Run the ball, have Tom just toss the ball out.
Was that a dink to Gronkowski at the
goal line? Well, that was one he got. All right, he got 1 or 2. But I'm just saying, for the most part, if you really watched that Super Bowl and looked at Tom Brady, there's no way you're looking at that saying they're going to repeat that or Tom Brady's going to lead them to another Super Bowl. That was more of the Rams not showing up for that Super Bowl. And the defense won it, not Tom Brady.
So really quick. After the regular season, Tom Brady, you were on the record of saying what now?
What, that they were going to lose. I thought they were going to lose.
And there was no way that Tom Brady and this New England Patriot team could win even a playoff game.
I didn't know that the Chargers were going to wet the bed.
They didn't wet the bed. They got smacked.
And I didn't know that the Chiefs at home were going to get shut out by the defense again.
And I didn't know.
I didn't know.
You didn't know a lot.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady has won 2 Super Bowls in his career out of those 7 where he's thrown 1 touchdown. He has 2 Super Bowls where they were basically gifted to him. So you can say whatever you want.
Let me tell you this. I would love to be on that team and catch a couple balls, catch a couple passes for a few yards, and just add 3 more Super Bowl rings.
Right,
I'm cool with that.
Right.
I'm cool. I'm pretty sure he's okay with having a couple Super Bowls that he's only thrown 1 touchdown.
I get it. All I'm saying is by looking at that, it would be different. Tom Brady came out slinging the ball, won the MVP, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Then I'd be like, how are you going to stop this guy?
No, you wouldn't.
How are you going to stop this guy?
No, you wouldn't, because he did it 2 years ago in a loss, and you said he was still done.
But he fumbled the ball. He gave up the ball.
505
Did he not give up the ball? He was the GOAT in that game. He was. He coughed up the ball with 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, he just stood back there and said, hey, come on, Graham, come and hit me. No, he got hit, and he didn't
Did he
expect
cough
it.
up the ball?
He coughed up the ball.
Did you see him running out for a pass in that Super Bowl?
If you could show me that
I'm not worried about him catching
quarterback
passes
that fumbles the ball in that situation, then you got a point. Until he's the only sole quarterback that drops the ball in that situation, you have no point.
Here we go.
Here's the
This
thing.
is what Tom Brady did in the Super Bowl. Are you looking at this? Blank, 0. He didn't do anything in that Super Bowl.
Who led
Be
the game-winning
honest.
drive?
Edelman and Gronk. Gronk had
Who
2
threw
big
them the
touches.
ball? See, I want to agree with, I do feel like there was a sense of finality to that last Super Bowl. Now, I'm smart enough never to write off Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. You bring up Peyton Manning. Well, how many yards Peyton throw for it in that Super Bowl? 105 or 120? Brady threw for like 260, 250, something like that. Like, led the game-winning drive with pinpoint passes.
How come he didn't win the MVP?
Who cares about the MVP?
I'm just asking. He was that good? You're telling me?
No,
pinpoint?
I didn't say it was
what
fantastic.
a final drive.
Their final drive was.
So why didn't he win the MVP?
Your
That was the only
statements
touchdown in the
are
game.
so out there that I'm disagreeing. Like, I'm disagreeing with you, even though I'm saying I don't think he's going to win the 7th ring. I'm not going to write him off. I'll give him like a 15% chance. But I felt like last year they had incredible motivation both internally and externally. I like that Brady clearly is still motivated, talking about 7 rings, put something on his Instagram with a song. I can't remember what it was, but clearly looking toward next year and all that. That's great. But they also were motivated by losing the year before to Philadelphia when you know they felt they should have won. They were motivated by everybody writing them off when they were 9-5. They were motivated by everybody talking about how good the Chargers were, and they got so much more talent on paper. And the Chiefs, they have so much more talent on paper. Julian Edelman says that his PED thing was a mistake. Like, it wasn't fair. It wasn't just that he was suspended. So they had all that outward motivation in addition to their own internal motivation. And sometimes, Greg, that can take you to a level because obviously you're always motivated to win a Super Bowl. No matter what. You say you can't be more motivated. But sometimes you can go to a level you don't consciously think you can go to. So I don't know if they can get there again in this season. So I do look at the AFC. They're still in the weak AFC East. I don't think the Chargers, maybe they'll bounce back, but I don't think they're ready for prime time. I don't think Houston's ready for prime time. I think Cleveland's a little young to really beat them. Pittsburgh's in turmoil. Baltimore, I'm not a believer. Indianapolis, especially if they can get Antonio Brown, and Kansas City. And Andy Reid, he's had trouble winning the
No,
big-
he's a choke artist.
So they have a good chance. I think Kansas City's the favorite in the AFC. But they have a good chance to get back, and then if you get back, anything can happen. But I don't think he's going to get 7.
It was a 50 Cent song on Instagram. Many men wish death upon me. But when you're saying...
Well, that was the latest one? I thought he just released a new one, like, after the Super Bowl. But anyway.
We talk about the finality, because I agree with you on that. And I think if you're the athlete here, don't you want to ride out on top? I mean, you could probably still be playing in the league if you wanted to. But there's something to be said for walking out, A, on your own terms, and B, on top, which Tom has the ability to do at this point. Is he being a little greedy?
Everyone wants that picture perfect ride out into the sunset, which is you win the Super Bowl or you win the NBA Finals and then you exit. Tom Brady, however he exits, he will ride out on top.
Damn.
Let's understand.
But you know why he couldn't do it? Because he didn't play well enough in that Super Bowl.
No, let's understand
That's
that.
why.
And so I'm going to go back to the question, will Tom Brady win his seventh ring? He is going to have the same opportunity that he had this past season, the season before, and the seasons before.
You didn't answer the question. Yes or no? Okay.
He will, really. He's going
Yes.
to 7.
Yes.
Yes.
Want a better pair of Jordans on that?
Let me finish really quick, because you're thanking God that his defense won him a championship this season, when his defense, what do you think they're thanking God for? That Tom Brady has been our quarterback who has won us several So I am excited about what the defense was able to do. But when I look at Tom Brady and I look at what motivates him, everything motivates Tom Brady. The fact that he won the Super Bowl this year and the fact that he realizes there's things that I can improve upon this season, let alone in the Super Bowl, that's going to motivate him. He's not just listening to a Rob Parker or myself or Chris Broussard and hearing what we're saying and listening to Rob and hearing him say he played poorly in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is very self-aware. He knows how he played in the Super Bowl. He does not want to ever have that experience again. But he understands I will do whatever it takes, and if my play is that and we still are able to win, I'll take it. When I look at the New England Patriots, two reasons why they will get another ring, and they will have the same opportunity that they've had in years past. Bill Belichick isn't going anywhere, and Tom Brady isn't going anywhere. The man says, I'm playing till I'm 45 years old. He still has the work ethic. He still has the weapons around him. Everybody talks about the limited weapons and the ability that everyone around him has, but they understand how to win. They understand the importance of team and knowing your role and doing their job. They still have the AFC East. They're in that division. The closest team, the Dolphins, 7-9. They just acquired Brian Flores, their defensive play caller. When I look at him, I say, okay, they'll lose one game. They went 8-0 at home last year, 5-1 in that division. They will still go 5-1 in that division. I'll give a win to Flores because the Miami Dolphins tend to always sneak one away from the Pats.
I'll say this, finish with this. I know Tom Brady's, 41 and getting older, but they're telling me that there are rumors now that the Patriots are going to move their practice facility to the graveyard next year. That's how old he is.
Jeez.
Trust me.
Bum.
He's done.
Yeah. On that note.
Yeah.
Can you imitate crickets? That's what you
guys, that was good. That was funny. Will Kyler Murray was terrible. Will Kyler Murray be the second straight Oklahoma QB to go first overall in the NFL draft? Jason McIntyre will answer that question next.
No mercy.
Kyler Murray chose the NFL over baseball earlier this week. Now all the attention is on where he'll be drafted. When Cliff Kingsbury was coaching Texas Tech this past season, he said he would draft Kyler at #1 overall if he could. Well, flash forward to now, and the new Cardinals head coach has the #1 pick. One problem, though. The Cardinals also have Josh Rosen. Kingsbury had his new QBs back yesterday. Take a listen.
Our feelings towards Josh haven't waned or changed or anything. I get we have the first pick, and so there's going to be a million scenarios over the next 3 months that are going to come up. But no, Josh is our guy, and Kyler's a tremendous player, and I said that was being very complimentary before we played an opponent, and I understand the soundbite.
All right, we are joined now in studio by Jason McIntyre. What do you think about those comments? Are you buying it? Cliff's not going to try and draft Kyler?
How about that, Jamie? The dreaded vote of confidence from the coach. I mean, what's he going to say when they interview Kyler Murray at the Combine? And then the Cardinals, Kyler Murray will do the private workout afterward. I feel like this lines up perfectly. Kyler Murray to Arizona, #1 in the draft. I mean, listen, if you look at the history, last 20 years, 14 of 20 #1 overall picks were quarterbacks. Even in the last 3 years, guys, quarterbacks taken in the top 10 teams have traded up for them. Greg Jennings, 4 of those 5 teams have made the playoffs, and 2 of them really stick out. Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, what he's done with the Big 12 air raid offense, it's proven that Kyler Murray can do the same in the NFL. I see no issues with this whatsoever. I feel a little bit bad for Josh Rosen. Didn't get a fair shot in Arizona. But he could end up in New England. I know that's another topic. I just feel like Kyler Murray right now, he's going to crush this interview process. This is a guy who's probably going to be the first player ever drafted in the first round of baseball and football. Bo Jackson was not. Deion Sanders was not. I like Kyler Murray going #1 overall.
What are you talking about, Jason? No. Kyler Murray will not go to the Arizona Cardinals. If the Arizona Cardinals still have that pick, they're not picking Kyler Murray with that pick. They have Josh Rosen. They picked him 10th overall last season. He has nothing to work with. He has absolutely nothing to work with. And you just ship him out after one season of nothing to work with? Yeah. And a veteran leader, and I love Larry Fitzgerald, but he's nowhere near the same player. And he led that team in receiving. Kyler Murray, this is what I don't like when we have sound bites like this in situations like this. Texas Tech and Cliff Kingsbury, he was playing about to get ready to compete against a young man, Kyler Murray, that he understood in that point and where he was, this player is electric. He's unbelievable. If I were a head coach and I had the #1 overall pick in the draft, which he had no idea he would be in this situation.
He barely could hold on to his college job.
He said, you know what, I would take him. Now he's in this situation. That is then. He is not taking him. I love everything about Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be fantastic. I don't even consider his height at times. But when I look at this situation, there is no way. The biggest needs for the Arizona Cardinals is not a Kyler Murray. They have to get a receiver. They need everything.
They need everything. Which is why you trade Josh Rosen.
No.
You get a haul of picks, players.
No, you're not trading what you believe to be your franchise quarterback moving forward when you've invested so much. No, you can still move things around and acquire other players and add other pieces without having to get Kyler Murray at #1 overall. You got a lot of options. You got Nick Bosa, who will definitely help your team. Taking him #1 overall. Jason McIntyre, sometimes you make some outlandish.
Sometimes.
But this one by far might take the cake.
Really? All right. Well, I'm sure Bruce Arnold back me up.
I'm going to say something I never thought I'd say.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I agree with Jason McIntyre.
Dap it up.
Now, I don't know if they will take him, but I think they should take him. And all this, they just drafted Josh Rosen. Well, you just hired your head coach. You got rid of him after 1 year. All right. Cliff Kings, Josh Rosen didn't show me what Sam Darnold showed me. He certainly didn't show me what Baker Mayfield showed me. And Josh Allen didn't throw the ball much better, but at least he could run, and Lamar Jackson could run. And I'm not saying Josh Rosen is a bust or whatever, but he didn't show me the signs that I at least saw in those other guys.
Wow,
now,
I'm with you.
The front office may not do it because Kingsbury is just a coach. But if he has the say, he's the one going to be calling the plays. They hired Tom Clements to be a passing coordinator. But who's going to be calling the plays? Kingsbury. His type of offense, his style of play is tailor-made for Kyler Murray, not Josh Rosen. So if you really believe that Murray is the guy, then you can't let the fact that they drafted a quarterback the year before stop you. Because if Murray is that guy, get him. And you can get a nice little haul for Josh Rosen to fill in where you need. I'm just saying they should. I don't know if he will.
This is one of these connections that they will regret later on when the NFL draft comes down.
Yes.
Because you guys are living in this prisoner of the moment, Instagram, Kyler Murray, blah, blah, blah. The general manager that you were talking about just hired, Cliff, is not going to admit that he made a mistake.
Thank you.
He just did it.
No.
He fired the coach after 1 year.
I'm talking about his draft. He will not admit that he made a mistake, and Josh Rosen didn't have a fair chance to even play.
Who selected that coach?
Hiring a coach
Who hired the coach?
Totally different.
Was it the same GM?
Completely different.
Was it the
Yeah,
same
they got the same GM in place.
Different.
That's admission of a mistake.
He will. I'm gonna tell you. He didn't have a chance because he had no weapons.
Did the coach have a
He
chance?
had nothing.
No.
But
Did
it's
the coach
easier.
have a chance?
It's just like we talked about with Luke Walton. It's easier to get rid of a coach. I'm telling you, you guys are way over this. Josh Rosen is who they picked. They didn't make that pick a year ago to make him their franchise quarterback on a whim and decide that they're not going to do it. This isn't not. Josh Rosen will be the quarterback, and all those other needs will be addressed. It's not going to happen.
Rob, don't you think that's an ego issue?
No,
I'm not going to take
not.
Kyler Murray because I don't want to admit I screwed up last year.
They believe
Listen, Chris has made a great point, okay? Josh Allen had no talent in Buffalo. Sam Darnold had no talent in New York. They put up way better stats, look way better than Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen was benched late in the season because he was bad in effectiveness. I like Rosen. I think he can bounce back. But you should not skip somebody and say, oh, I don't want Kyler Murray, even though he fits to what Kingsbury does, just because I picked a quarterback last year. That is a reason to get fired right there.
No, I'm just saying that's not the way.
You got to make the best
You got to make sure. No, and
I'm look, I think you're probably right in terms of that they won't do it. But I'm saying if they
Josh
are
Rosen last year, you would have passed on Josh Rosen last year.
You didn't know Kyler Murray was anything.
No, it has nothing to do with that. If you didn't believe that he wasn't good enough.
Make the best football decision. They wouldn't have hired the coach if they thought he wasn't good enough.
Situations change,
different. You can get a coach in a situation and say, we think he's over his head, and he was a good assistant, but he's not a good head coach.
You can do the same thing with a quarterback.
If you were
thought he was better.
If you were honest about what Josh Rosen had to work with and what he didn't have a chance to succeed last year in Arizona.
So the coach.
So there's no reason for me to say that he can't do it if we get some other players around.
So, Rob, the GM is going to come to Kingsbury and say, hey, who do you want? What do you want to do with this offense? He says, I want Kyler Murray. You're telling me you're not taking him? Your brand new head coach says, I think he's a better fit for what we can do, the damage we can do in this division and in the NFL. Give me Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray with no players is going to wind up being Josh Rosen. It's going to be the same situation.
Well, no, because then you trade Rosen.
This GM just hired a coach who was probably about to get fired in college, who struggled in college.
He was
I don't think he's worried about, he struggled in college, and he hired him. So I don't know that he's worried so much about what I did. I mean, he hired a coach that was just fired in college. He fired a head coach he just hired after 1 year.
This is a franchise.
You got to make the best.
You got to do a nice
move,
and I think Murray's a guy.
Why
are you so against Kyler Murray? Is it the hype?
He loves Kyler Murray.
So why don't you want to take him?
Because I don't need him with this pick. What are you talking about?
Rosen? Are you sold on?
I'm not sold on Rosen as much as I am on. I wasn't sold on Rosen when it came last year with these guys.
With the roster.
With the other quarterbacks that came out last year. But when I look at this year's draft and I look at the Arizona Cardinals and what they need, they're not in need of a quarterback. They're in need of other positions that they can fill.
What's the most important
Should
position to have?
they trade Josh?
Why can't
Do they have their franchise quarterback?
You have your franchise quarterback.
I thought you said you don't believe in Rosen.
No, I said over Kyler Murray. No, that's me personally. But if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I believe in Josh Rosen. I picked him.
Why do you believe in him? You didn't see one thing last year that was like, man, this is our guy. Maybe a couple throws, but that's it.
What did we see outside of Baker Mayfield? What did we see out of Josh Allen?
Josh Allen had a pretty
run the ball.
Season.
He a little dual
Sam
threat.
Darnold made a lot of plays.
Darnold
Had a couple good wins.
Rob loves Darnold.
Oh my! Like you guys are so caught up into just a flash moment, and a flash is, oh my gosh, this guy is going to be excellent. He's going to be the greatest player ever. Like this is what the issue is. When you have the #1 overall pick, you can't get caught up into, you know what? This guy is electric. He's everything that everybody else is, unless they take him and they trade him off somewhere. No, you're not going to do it. So you might as well, if you take that, you might as well trade your pick and then drop back in the draft and let somebody else take him.
That's not a bad idea. I'm not opposed to that.
And get additional picks. But you're not going to take Kyler Murray #1 overall when you have a first-round top 10 quarterback that you just acquired last year. And you can't compare it to the head coach. A coach and players, a general manager and their scouting department spent time, looked and invested all this time and said, you know what? This is our guy. We can move forward. We know what we have as a team. We know who we can be like as a team. This is our guy. And that's who they picked, Josh Rosen, as a head coach. And I'm not saying they gave him a fair shake. I'm not saying that. But when you look at a head coach and you say, man, I thought we were going to get this.
We didn't
get it.
You can't say that with a quarterback?
Yeah. The Chiefs had Alex Smith and just went to the playoffs. Andy Reid and Dorsey moved up to draft Patrick Mahomes. That is smart front office material right there. The Cardinals need to do the right thing.
Did they draft Alex Smith?
They had Alex Smith in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback. and they still took Patrick Mahomes in the top 10.
Jason, we're going to
Straight
give
it
you a
up.
win in this round because you got Jennings to
Thank you.
smash his
Right.
fist on the table, which I love to see.
Victory.
The fire in the
What
passion.
3-0 this week, baby.
Go get it.
Clean
Yeah,
sweep.
really.
Let's
We'll get
go.
back to these
Finally
two.
a win.
We'll get back to these two.
Did the Celtics prove they are better off without Kyrie? We'll discuss that next.
No mercy.
The Celtics were called out recently by Marcus Morris and were without Kyrie Irving last night, but they responded in a big way as they continued to dominate the Sixers. Boston held on late to pull off the upset on the road and have now beaten them in 10 out of their last 12 games. Boston responded to Morris calling them a bunch of individuals, finishing with 24 assists to only 6 turnovers. And the Celtics improved to 8-2 this year without Kyrie. So, Jason, sticking around for another round here.
Yes.
For what?
Yeah. I think you might need some help here, Jennings.
Shots
You might
fired.
need some help here.
Shots fired.
That's not a good, comforting thought that he's
You're
your
not being
help.
very hospitable here. But let's start with you on this topic. How do you explain this Celtics upset?
Kyrie Irving. Again.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there. He wasn't in uniform. And again, Kyrie Irving is a phenomenal player. Very electric. Very exciting. And he just doesn't fit what they want to get done. And when I say they, specifically Brad Stevens, when I look at the Boston Celtics, even last night, you look at their disposition, their demeanor, the posture of the team. They were enthused, exciting, the ball's popping around, everybody's involved, nobody's standing and watching and on the offensive side of the ball. Everybody's getting after it defensively. They are a better equipped team without Kyrie Irving. They're flashier with him. And yes, he gives you those big shots and those big moments, and he can help your team. But they have proven to be better. This year, with Kyrie Irving, they're 28-19. Without him, they're 8-2. 80% win completion without Kyrie Irving in 10 games. It's a small sample size, but it's a good enough sample size. Like, their points per game is pretty much the same, 113, 112, but their opponent's points per game with Kyrie, 107, without Kyrie, 103. They get after it more. Like, they're a completely different team because they understand we need everything everyone has. And not one player is going to dominate the ball like a Kyrie Irving. We love it. As a fan, you love to see his handles and him weave through opponents and defenders. It looks great. It is great at times, but it doesn't fit who the Boston Celtics really are. That team is based on Brad Stevens and his scheme and these players who are really good players. They may not be superstars yet, but they're really good players, and they understand, as young players, how to win.
A lot of what you said is true. Kyrie brings an entirely different element, and they play differently when he's not there. And if they want to get to the second round, or at best the conference finals, then fine. Let's do that. If you want to be Butler, that's fine. Then do that. But if you want to win a championship, it's only happened twice in NBA history
you
that
just
a team won the finals without a superstar.
You just said earlier they don't even have to worry about the Sixers.
No, you're right. But there's a Milwaukee Bucks team lingering. There's a Toronto Raptors team lingering. And guess what each of them have? A superstar. And Kyrie Irving, you know at the end of the game who is going to get it done. He's going to get a good shot at the rim. He might hit a three-pointer. He's a winner. When has a team this young, as young as Boston, ever gotten to the finals? That's the goal. Unless they had superstars, Shaq and Penny, LeBron in 07. You're not getting a bunch of role players who, by the way, on top of that, are young to get to the finals without Kyrie.
And Greg, Chris is, 100% right. Last year, that young bunch passing the ball around like it's a rec league and everybody's having fun and eating hot dogs. Problem is they were up 2-0 against LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
Against who?
Okay.
Against
LeBron
who?
James and the Cavaliers.
The teams are better this year. Milwaukee's better than those Cavs wouldn't have won the East this year.
They lost 4 of 5, including Game 7 at home. Wet the bed in Game 7 where they missed 27 three-pointers, and the problem that you have is you're right. This team turns into Butler. You're not going to win. Kyrie averaged 28 points against the Warriors.
I
he
hear
made
you.
The big game, the big three-pointer when it matters. And when you need to get a basket, a shot, a bucket at the basket, he's the best.
What is this Milwaukee Bucks nonsense, okay? When was the last time they won a playoff series? Who beat the Bucks, Broussard, last year in the first round? The Kyrie-less Boston Celtics. This is a team right now.
Wasn't it 7 games?
Guys, I got to say it.
Were the Bucks
it was
good
7
last
games.
year? Were they well coached
They were a
last
great
year?
team last year.
Great?
They were really good.
No, they weren't that good.
The
They were a low
Boston Celtics
seed.
without Kyrie are better. Jennings made some very valid points, and you agreed with him. Here's one, Gordon Hayward.
Thank you.
Did you see him last night?
Oh,
so
you
much more
expect 26 a night from
I don't know
Gordon
about
Hayward?
26 a
All
night,
right, then stop
but I'm telling you.
Because I saw Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown has 7.
Yeah, guess what? Al
Terry
Horford plays
Rozier had
great
5.
defense.
For all your ball
This team
movement
is
and all that.
fine
all
without
that
Kyrie.
fun.
Guys, the producer of this show, Sean Hurley, he's been in my ear for a year. Jason, man, I'm telling you, they're better without Kyrie. They're better without Kyrie.
I love
and all
Sean
of a
Hurley,
sudden,
but that's your
He's a
argument.
time
You
out.
didn't talk to Jerry West.
Time out.
You didn't talk to Hubie Brown. You didn't talk to a GM. Sean
can you
Hurley
let me
is making
finish
your
my
arguments.
art? Can you let me finish my point? This is a Celtics team. You watch them, as Jennings said, without Kyrie. There's no pressure. There's no drill sergeant.
Why didn't they finish
all
the
on their
job
back
last
saying,
year in the
"Come
Eastern
on!"
Conference
When
Final?
Kyrie doesn't get the ball at the end of a game and get the final shot, he's angry at his teammates.
Chris, would they have won
that
the Eastern Conference
without
Final
Kyrie.
last year if Kyrie played in that series against LeBron?
They probably would have.
They would have
probably-
won.
Yeah, we can say that now. They possibly.
sure.
But here last year they didn't have a Gordon Hayward who gives them another option. And you talk about
putting a lot on
no,
Gordon
no,
Hayward.
no, 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 I'm not.
Tatum
That's the
and your
thing.
team
averaging 11 points
No,
this year.
that's the thing. You're saying Gordon Hayward's gonna give you 26 more points. He doesn't need
That's
to
not his game.
because we have so many guys that can give you 20 any given night.
Balance,
We
baby.
don't need Gordon Hayward to give you 20 every night because somebody else is gonna give it to you.
I know they can be good, Greg. They can win the East without Kyrie. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you looked at the Raptors, by the way? Are they phenomenal? They scare you? The Toronto
Yeah, the
Raptors?
Raptors are a
What,
tough
they got
team.
Marc Gasol?
They're
Is that why?
long. They defend.
That's the most
They've got a
overrated team in the East
superstar.
right now.
And
Most
you also
overrated
know
team by a
Danny,
mile.
your word
Danny
for it.
Ainge
He knows
knows
it, right?
he can't win without Kyrie.
A title,
He's
yes.
Not,
Well,
that's what we're
they
talking
want.
about.
What is
A
Boston?
You're not
title.
nobody's beating the Warriors.
Well,
Nobody.
Boston ain't
Nobody's
banners for
beating the
getting
Warriors.
there.
Right.
No.
It's about winning
No,
the
but we-
championship.
He just admitted your argument.
No,
is shot.
nobody's beating the
The
Warriors.
goal
the
is a
Bucks, the
title.
Raptors. They can do that.
Wait.
without Kyrie Irving.
You just said his
Not this
argument
year.
is shot. How is it shot? Is anybody? Are you betting against? You want to put some J's up
I'm
against
saying-
somebody beating
I'm
the
saying-
Warriors?
Give away Jordans.
You
again.
want to put some J's up on the Warriors?
Hold on. Okay, so this is what you're saying. They can't win a title this year.
No.
But next year they can win a title.
Well,
without
Kyrie leaves in free
If
agency,
Golden
they
State
pick up
breaks
someone else,
They
heck
can
yeah.
win a. Well, no, this team right here,
Without a star.
without Kyrie,
Right.
is that team ever going to win a title? And let's say Durant leaves Golden State and goes to New York. Is that Boston team winning a title?
I
Yes.
think
as
they can.
No,
They
I
can-
think they can.
not.
They can win. Yes, they can.
You guys are kidding yourself. We've seen this act in college. And yeah, I'm talking about, with
The little engine that could.
that could. All they do is get up there, and they always lose in the big
Jason
game. You know
Tatum's
why?
a little engine?
Because the other teams always have the stars. So I don't care how good of a coach you are and your schemes and what you do, the bottom line is you need those horses, the big stars, at the end to win. Chris already gave it to you. Only 2 teams have ever won a championship without a star in the NBA. 2.
Superstar.
I'm like you guys are making it seem like these guys aren't developing and budding into stars. Like
Tatum, maybe.
By the way, can
Who's
you
the
give
other
me,
one?
Broussard, give me the
Who's the other
list
one?
of
But
guys
that's
who are
the-
stars who can win the title? Because it sounds like there's like 5 guys that could win a title that are stars.
Yeah, none of them-
I think Kyrie's won. That dude is tremendous.
So in 2 years, Jason Tatum cannot be a
And that's
star
why-
and win a title.
That's why.
So with
Danny
Kyrie,
Ainge-
if you put Kyrie on this roster with everybody playing the way that they played last night, and he adds to that, are they beating the Golden State Warriors?
No, but could they win the
No.
championship at that point?
in the future,
Without them, they
without
can't
Kyrie,
win.
they
They
can't
can't win.
That
They
Danny,
won't win.
why do you think?
What is your argument
Why
then?
do you
Because
think
they
they
got to the conference finals without Kyrie
They
last
lost
year?
4
Why
games.
did they, with all of the rumblings and all of the hints and all of the backtracking that Kyrie's done and that surrounding Kyrie going to New York, or leave in Boston. Why didn't Danny Ainge, one of the smartest executives in the league, trade him before the deadline?
You could have traded him. He don't
You
want to
could
be
have got
here.
a haul. Wait, but if this team is so good without him, he is banking on, I got to keep Kyrie Irving, and I will trade this cast that you guys love so much to get Anthony Davis, the superstar.
He called New Orleans and said, don't make the trade.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Chris,
I get all of that.
I
get all of that. That's why he didn't trade, because he's thinking of trying to acquire a guy like Anthony Davis.
For these guys? Hold on. But you think Anthony Davis is going to fit into what Brad Stevens always wants to do and just the little engine that could?
All I'm saying is this team, am I reading this wrong? This team is better without Kyrie Irving.
Chris Broussard
Let me put
answered
these
this
on.
question.
Let me see if this changes.
Last postseason
You know what?
or this season. It's easy.
I
They
think
were
the
better
numbers
in the
still look
playoffs
the
last year
same.
than they are right now.
The numbers still look the same. They're
go blind.
8-2
Right, you really-
at 80% win completion. Yeah, these are hurting my eyes, man.
Broussard, they were a better team last postseason than they are right now. That's a fact.
They
and you
beat
can
a
admit it.
Bucks team that wasn't nearly as good as it is right now in 7 games.
And the Cavaliers in 7
Cavaliers
games came
that
back
was
from
not a
0-2.
good Cavaliers team.
And they came back from 0-2
right.
to beat them.
And beat them 4 out of 5 at home, game 7.
And you're saying this team right now that's 5th in the East is better than that.
I agree with you in that these Boston Celtics are a good team without Kyrie. I said they would beat Philadelphia because of all Philadelphia's
But they can't win a
issues
title
without Kyrie. I don't think they could beat Toronto or Milwaukee
All
without
of what
Kyrie.
you're saying, it happened. They didn't even have Gordon Hayward, so they didn't have another option. I'm not saying
Hayward hasn't been that great this year.
All right,
He
guys.
can be. He will
because he
be.
didn't have the opportunity to be. The ball isn't in his hands.
Thank you for
Kyrie
being
got it.
I can't wait to come back Friday, go for the clean
Yeah,
sweep.
and wear the tie again.
Yes,
Good
no
luck.
shots at the tie. How about the flower power, baby? You like that?
No comment.
Cross the line.
stretching.
Will LeBron do the impossible and miss the playoffs for the first time in almost 15 years? His former co-star Chris Bosh is here. He'll answer that question.
No mercy.
Our next guest is a 2-time NBA champion and 11-time All-Star who helped LeBron make 4 consecutive trips to the NBA Finals in Miami. Chris Bosh in studios now. Thank you for coming back to Undisputed.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. I like the show, man. You guys really get it going. It's like coffee in the morning.
You don't need coffee, just sit down here.
Right now with us.
You know, yeah, it's awesome.
So next month, big month for you. You're going to become the 4th player in Miami Heat history to have your jersey retired. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How
Thank you.
special is
Thank
that
you.
for you?
It's everything. You know, I've been kind of just telling people. My grandfather was a huge family man, had a big family. Now I have a big family. I feel like I'm carrying on the torch for the Bosh name. And to be able to put the name, my family name up in the stands, which with an organization that's so special to me. We've gone through huge ups and downs, and we continue to still be here. So just to have that opportunity and just, I mean, it's the league. I wanted to be in the league my whole life, and to actually accomplish things and, you know, look up there and see that, that'll be amazing.
Are they going to cover up Jordan's jersey and put you in
I don't think so.
Just asking. No,
Nah, nobody covers up Mike.
Now, Chris, after, several years of, holding out that you might come back and play in the NBA, you've announced that you've officially retired. The Lakers, your old teammate LeBron, could use some help. I mean, if they called you over the break and were like, we need a big that can stretch the floor, that knows how to win, you would not think about coming back?
No, I wouldn't. My phone has been on the past 2 years, and I made that pretty adamant. And, teams have been trying to build and do their thing. And guys know how to get in touch with me, but it'd be like a month too late.
Right.
A month, maybe even 2.
A month too late.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
You mean
just,
too late to join the Lakers to help them out, or just too late
just to
in
play
general?
basketball. I'm just moving on. I had talks with my family. I have 5 kids. Jackson, Dylan, Trent. I got to get these out.
Get them right.
Phoenix, Lennox. I love you guys.
Right.
But that was one of the main reasons that I decided, to continue to stay home and, work on the next thing. And I've went there mentally in my mind. So I'm moving on. Yeah.
Those are 5 really good reasons to do that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Very.
So, all right. So you're not going to join LeBron with the Lakers, but we do want to ask you about LeBron and the Lakers. Your former teammate had a triple-double, but it wasn't enough. LA's defense continuing to struggle. They gave up 117 points, Chris, to Atlanta in a 4-point loss. Now, the Lakers are under 500 heading into the All-Star break. They're 2.5 games out of the playoffs. After the game, LeBron said the team needs to get their minds right and then, quote, come back with the notion that we'll make the playoffs. So, I mean, you've played alongside LeBron, a younger LeBron, albeit, but do you have faith that he can pick up this young Lakers team and carry them into the playoffs?
Well, here's the thing. It's a team sport. You know, it takes a collective to be successful in the NBA. Even 1 through 8, to make it in the playoffs, you have to be a pretty good team. It just can't be about one singular guy. So that's what he means by that. You know, maybe they do need a break right now. Well, they do. It's not even a maybe about it. They need a break. They're young guys, you know, trying to do things, playing at a level that they didn't know existed a year ago. So they're going to have to take this time to take a break and get their mind focused. If he's saying that, that means that the mentality's not there. Obviously, giving up 117 points, that's not going to get it done. They need to get refocused, refreshed, and know that it's hard and come back and really hit it after All-Star break.
When the Lakers tried to go after AD and they were offered up basically the whole team, is that saying basically that LeBron doesn't feel like he could win with that group and needs another, like, star rather than those young guys at this point in his career?
Well, remember, Magic Johnson and Ron Pelinka are the president and the GM of that organization, you know, so they know that they have to win. They know what it takes to win. They're going to make certain moves in order to do what they feel is necessary to win. Now, although LeBron might know about some things, maybe not, he still is not the president and GM. So remember that it's their job to make those trades. LeBron's not on the call. He's in the gym. You know, they just have to deal with that, and that's a part of being in the spotlight.
Point blank. Go ahead. Point blank. Are the Lakers going to make the playoffs this year?
I don't know.
What's your
I would think so. I mean, it's a lot of pressure, but it's 2.5 games back. We're talking about 2.5 games back. It's a race. You know, that's why the second half is always so exciting. You know, it's 2.5 games back. It's not a long way to go just to make the playoffs. They can continue to improve. They're pretty good. They have pretty good young guys, and if they figure out this defensive problem, they can fix things.
We say second half, but it's only 25 games left.
True. I mean, it's just a term,
Right.
figure of speech.
But
Yeah, it
enough.
is. It's a sprint.
It's a sprint at this point.
Absolutely.
Do you see any slippage in LeBron James's game and his ability to take this team where they want to go?
I don't think so. I think he's been pretty good. I mean, a triple-double usually gets it done. Maybe not in today's league, obviously, but performance is not an issue.
How about defensively?
Defensively?
It doesn't look the same.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, he's point guard, he's point center, he's at the 5 sometimes, asked to be the leader. One thing that that's an underrated thing in the league, when you get to a certain age and you have to perform on and off the court, it's a whole different beast. You know, so mustering that up to do that year-round, it takes a special person to do that. You know, it's not easy at all. And sometimes you get tired. I'm not saying he's tired, but you have to pace yourself, and that's a part of it.
You guys were all part of the same draft. You're retired. Dwayne Wade, this is last year.
Yeah.
Carmelo
He's
like
retired.
he's got his phone on, but, you know, it doesn't look like he may get picked up. Why do you think LeBron has, and, you know, looks like he's got 3 more years on his deal, so he'll probably play at least another 3 years. Why do you think he's been able, I know all you guys work hard.
Yeah.
Why has he been able to continue to pretty much be in his prime or toward the tail end of his prime and have many years left in his 16th season?
I think that's a testament to how hard he works. I've never seen anybody work so hard on their body. And that's the thing that gives you longevity in the league. And he's been doing it since we were in our early 20s. I mean, we were in, you know, in the Olympics. I'm 24, you know, eating burgers and just not stretching. And we would be hanging out, and he would stretch. You know, had his trainer with him. He's the first guy I see always have his trainer with him. He just get him. I mean, he'd be doing this show right now and get on on the stretching table and just work on those small things, and that has added up and allowed him to have some longevity later in his career.
How about the injury this year where he missed, 18 games?
Yep.
Yeah. Was that like the first sign where you saw LeBron like getting older, father time is undefeated, maybe, took a little chunk out of him?
It was just a growing thing. I've tweaked my growing many, many times. So it's just a part of the game. Dudes get hurt, and he just so happens to not get hurt as much.
At what point do you look at Luke Walton and say, hey, this may not be the best coach and the best fit for what we're trying to do with LeBron James?
I don't know. I mean, it's always going to be pressure being a coach for the Lakers. But one thing that, from my experience that I've seen, is they were doing the same thing with Eric Spoelstra when we first got together. The Lakers are still a family-run organization, just like the Miami Heat are. So they're going to work more. I think working the system more, working your principles, working your fundamentals within the organization is more important sometimes. So I think Luke Walton, I mean, he wants to win. He's a winner. I think he's a pretty good coach. He just, it takes time. It's this instant society that we live in. People want it now, and they're in a position where they have to develop everybody, and he has to develop as well as a coach.
How important is it, though, in that situation? Because like you said, people were questioning Spoelstra. Reports were that players were questioning Spoelstra early on when you guys got there. How big was it, though, that Pat Riley and the whole organization was completely behind him, whereas with the Lakers, Magic and Pelinka didn't hire Luke Walton, and there's this feeling that Luke is going to be the scapegoat. He's twisting in the wind. How much different would it be if the front office is like, look, this is our guy. If you're going to win, it's going to be with Luke Walton.
Didn't Jeannie Buss did that?
Jeannie said that.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I don't know about the other ones.
Hey, Jeannie Buss. That's
so that's your settlement. Like for you guys, when Pat Riley says that,
end of story.
The end of story, right? Yeah, you got to win with the coach, whether you like him or not.
There you go.
When you think back to Miami, obviously you guys won 2 championships, but if I remember LeBron saying not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, I don't have enough time to do all of them.
Sounds like Tom Brady.
Keep going.
But you won 2 out of 4. Obviously winning championships, I'm not trying to poo-poo it at all. Mm-hmm. But was it as satisfying, or maybe was it as, did you feel like you guys fulfilled what you set out to do when you 3 all joined? Because I look at it sometimes and think you guys should have won more, and you didn't.
50% is pretty good. 2 out of 4 is pretty good. We played one of the greatest teams to ever play the game, went toe-to-toe with those guys, and split it with them. Dallas played a phenomenal series and, beat us. 2 out of 4 championships, I mean, I'll take it. And was it satisfying? Unbelievably so. Winning a championship is one of the hardest things, I think, to do on this earth. And that's a prideful thing that we carry. The things that we had to do in order to accomplish things as a team. It was a very special time. And that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, 2 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah.
You got time for one more?
Yeah.
No, I'm not ready. Don't let anybody I'm not ready.
Should marquee free agents avoid teaming up with LeBron next year? His former co-star is going to answer that question.
No mercy.
Everything LeBron does makes news, so it shouldn't be a surprise that his all-star selections last week made headlines. LeBron's top picks, including Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Kawhi Leonard, all have something in common. They're all upcoming free agents this summer. But LeBron said he made his picks according to the best players available, not based on free agency. Well, on LeBron's real team, LA wasn't able to trade for Anthony Davis last week, and they couldn't sign Paul George last offseason. So we're once again joined by one of LeBron's former teammates, Chris Bosh. Chris, should free agents want to play with LeBron?
LA's a cool town. I mean, the Lakers are still the Lakers. We were joking in the back. I said, look, people really underestimate this free agency stuff. If LeBron wants to recruit and Magic Johnson wants to recruit, you're going to listen. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a top destination. Whether guys choose it or not, that's another thing.
But Paul George wouldn't even take a meeting with Magic. Why'd you think that happened, even though LeBron and Magic, he's from the area. He wouldn't even take a meeting.
Oklahoma City has a pretty good team. I think he made the right decision, and he's
playing great.
He's playing great, and he noticed that, and I'm sure he saw something with Russ and the team that they could build and wanted to stay there, just like Russ did.
How much when you were with LeBron? Obviously, you won 2 championships, but your numbers you were about 22, 23, and 11 in Toronto, 24 some seasons, down to like 18, 17, and your rebounds down a little. Do you think some guys look at playing with LeBron as, if I play with LeBron, my numbers are going to drop. I'm not going to be able to play my game. Your game changed.
Yeah.
How much of a deterrent could that be to some other stars?
Well, I mean, if somebody wants to take that into consideration, if getting numbers is more important, then it's more important. I can attest to numbers not being everything. I know we're living in a numbers-driven world, but numbers don't mean everything. You can still have success and play on a pretty good team. It's just whatever a person wants to do.
Was it tough for you, though? You were still making all-star teams and still getting a lot of publicity.
Yeah.
But was it tough to play that different role when everything kind of ran through LeBron?
Of course. Winning is tough. Winning is tough. Even if I was asked to average old numbers, which happened later in my career, that's hard, It doesn't really mean anything to say, okay, I'm 24-12, but, I'm sitting home kind of watching, having playoff parties all the time. It gets overrated,
LeBron talked about trying to recruit players, and he said that he couldn't get anybody to come to Cleveland. Did he try to get you before he decided to go to Miami with Dwayne Wade and you? Did he try to get you to come to Cleveland?
No.
Okay,
we played it out.
Right.
Everybody played it out, yeah. That was the whole problem.
That's what he was saying, that he couldn't get anybody.
Yeah, and can I say, hey, man, Giannis Antetokounmpo for MVP, man. Nobody's talking about Giannis.
Over Harden. He's second.
Yes.
Over Harden.
You would pick the Milwaukee Bucks in first right now in the preseason. Would you say the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have home court advantage throughout the playoffs?
No, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't have said James Harden's going to score
for sure, and that's amazing.
30 straight games.
But I give the nod to Giannis only because they're in first place. He's playing amazing.
He's playing great.
Giannis Antetokounmpo for MVP, everybody.
But Harden doesn't have any help.
When I think about LeBron James and guys wanting or not wanting to come and play with him, for me, I just think this era, social media driven, guys want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
It's not so much about, okay, I feel like I need LeBron to get it done or win championships. They're like, I don't per se need LeBron.
Yeah.
I want to be the one that does it without LeBron and establish my own team or identity and championships to where I don't have to attach them with the success of such a great player like LeBron. Do you see that?
No, absolutely. The new generation is coming in, it's really here, and they're trying to establish themselves, So that's a part of being a young player and wanting to establish yourself in the NBA, saying I can do it myself, and that's great. It's like I say, it's a team sport, so you're going to have to find yourself in a position to be able to do that. Everybody wants to be a franchise player, but that's just not the case. It may be a little construed with social media followings and then a lot of money being, paid to these young guys, so they might think in their head like, oh, yeah, I'm the guy to do this. When you're a kid in the driveway, what do? You count down and you're the one hitting the shot at the buzzer, right? Doesn't always happen. That's not always realistic. It's good to practice it, but it just might not happen.
But, Chris, is it also a part where if LeBron wins or the team wins, it's about LeBron, and when you don't win, you're the reason why? Like, it's always been like in Cleveland lately, LeBron doesn't have any help. So what do you gain if you go play with LeBron and say you don't win? You kind of get all the blame. Everybody says LeBron's a great player, but he doesn't have any help. Could that deter you from wanting to be a part of something like that?
Well, I mean, it just depends on the person. I think it depends on the person, what they want out of basketball. Fact of the matter is, LeBron is a great player, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, to do it. And you have an opportunity to play with a guy like that. I always like to compare, with Kobe and Jordan. same kind of narrative. Do people want to play with Kobe? He's just, you know, drives people just up the wall, and he's competitive, and so is Mike, and it's just always going to be that narrative of if. And, you know, yeah, you're going to have to conform to a really good player. You know, KD conformed his game, as crazy as it sounds, around the Golden State Warriors, and it looks amazing. You know, the team moving the ball, and he's probably really good one-on-one. You know what I mean? So it allows him to open up his game, but you do have to conform around great players. That's just no getting around that.
If KD or Kyrie or Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, one of these big-time free agents came to you and said, look, I'm considering going to the Lakers, what was it like? You sacrificed numbers. You know, it's going to be LeBron's team. What was it like to play with him, and what advice would you give them?
Just play basketball. You know, it's basketball at the end of the day. That's the best part.
But it's different than you were used to playing.
Yeah, I mean, you can get more shots now, so it's a little, I mean, I don't, you know, what do people want? And I mean, it's always this narrative where, you know, we're always talking about, you know, LeBron, you have to deal with that. I think that's the biggest thing you have to deal with is the media narrative and kind of navigating that and not really slipping up all the time. That's pretty much like number one. And it's just, you're going to be under the microscope. That's just a fact of the matter. So if you don't understand what that means, you'll learn. If you don't want to understand what that means, then sign somewhere else. There's a lot of teams with cap space.
I'm going to say this because Rob is being very modest and mild right now. He does not want LeBron to be successful.
That's not true.
And he does not want...
That's not true. I don't want him to be successful.
You don't want him making the playoffs.
They're not going to make the playoffs based on the team that he has.
Right now, the way he's posing all these questions and trying to... He's playing the nice guy.
No, I'm not.
He wants to see if he can pull you over. But he wants LeBron and the Lakers to miss the playoffs. I don't really believe he wants to see LeBron acquire another talent because he wants to be able to say nobody wants to play with LeBron James.
I'm just giving you the facts of what's happened. That's why I asked him the question about LeBron said he tried to attract people to Cleveland. But you said that that conversation.
I mean, it was me.
Well,
and I mean, he played there for 7 years.
Right, but he never talked to you really about it.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
He went to the finals. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, who's going to go to Cleveland, especially when seriously, especially when the salary cap was tight. It's not like it is today. Cleveland has more flexibility. Small market teams have more flexibility to pay more. Back then, you couldn't. Who are you going to get?
But when you look LeBron, okay, we could talk about his triple-double he had, but you know he defensively played poorly last night. That's why they weren't able to win because defensively they couldn't stop the Hawks. And I'm saying even LeBron's come back from injury. They've lost 2 of the 5 games that he's won. 2 of the 5, 4, 2 of the 5 that he's played in. Because remember, he rested that 1 game. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, when I look at this team, I don't think it's a good team, even with LeBron. Like, they have issues. So it's not a shock to me.
At one point?
No, where are they now? We're not talking about the past.
He missed 18.
Right now, they're in the 10th seed.
So you're a prisoner of the moment.
I'm not a prisoner of the moment. I'm talking about real facts, not about what happened.
Quickly, are the Celtics better with or without Kyrie?
Ooh, bring him into
We've been talking that.
Kyrie's pretty good too. I'm gonna say with.
Say it to him.
He's better.
No, right.
He's gonna say with.
Of course, you know what I mean.
Because he's Kyrie. Because they are.
He has his own shoe, guys. Come on, you gotta have your own shoe. You gotta be pretty good. If you
he makes my point.
You see when he finishes in the lane and doing all that, and the step back. You were there. He's pretty good.
You guys can bet some sneakers on it. Chris Bosh, the 4th player in Miami Heat history to have his jersey retired next month. Congratulations, and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
And LeBron won't make the playoffs.
We have some breaking news in the NFL. Joe Flacco reportedly on his way to Denver. We'll discuss that next.
No mercy.
Well, we have breaking news. ESPN reports the Ravens have agreed in principle to trade Joe Flacco to the Broncos. The deal can't be official until the new NFL league year starts next month. Flacco was Super Bowl MVP back in the 2012 season, but not counting this year when the team was led by rookie Lamar Jackson. Flacco's Ravens had missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. Greg, you're the obvious start on this. What's your reaction?
It doesn't make the Denver Broncos a better team, in my opinion. When I look at where they are, Case Keenum, yeah, he's a flashier quarterback. Joe Flacco, he's won. Case Keenum has not won a Super Bowl. But when I look at the production and what I'm going to get for Joe Flacco, I know they're not making this move saying this is the future of our franchise. They're making this move saying, just in case we don't have someone else to replace either Case Keenum or Joe, we have these two, and they're solid. We can win games with these guys, but I'm not looking at it as this big difference maker. When I look at that division, it doesn't move them higher up the totem pole in that AFC West.
I'm with you. More like a desperation move. Like, okay, we'll take him just in case, as you said. This is not like, oh, wow, they're making moves. This is further proof that John Elway hasn't done it right when it comes to quarterbacks. This is like 10 guys who have been through Denver over the last few years trying to figure out something quarterback-wise. And Flacco's at the end. I mean, he really is. And Baltimore, I don't blame Baltimore for moving on. They've decided that they're moving forward and that he won a Super Bowl with them. He gave them some good years, but his best years are behind him.
I agree with you that they're not looking at him as their quarterback of the future, and that if they can get a good one in the draft, they'll do it. But I do think it's an upgrade. I think he'll start. I think they're thinking he's going to start. He couldn't win last year, but his numbers, they're better than Case Keenum's. You know, and I think that a new atmosphere, a new setting will be good for Flacco. He's only 33. He's only 33 years old.
He's
now,
an
we know
old
quarterback, maybe. But, you know, he's quarterbacks now are playing a lot longer. His numbers aren't better?
How much better are they than Case Keenum?
Better. They're better. I'm not saying he was like Aaron Rodgers or anything like that, but they're better.
But like this much of a margin?
he threw 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions last year. Keenum 18 and 15. Yeah, and obviously that was in half a year.
I was gonna say he didn't have the remaining 6 games.
I think
or 7 games.
Well, but he wasn't on pace to throw as many. He had a better pace.
If Joe Flacco was still good, he would have been starting quarterback.
No, look, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I think it's an upgrade. That's all. I'm not saying he's their quarterback for the next 5 years and Elway thinks it's going to lead them to a championship. But for right now, it's an upgrade over Case Keenum. He's done more in the league than Case Keenum. I think he's a stronger leader than Case Keenum. I think they're looking at it like, look, our defense already was strong. We don't need, unless we can get a great quarterback. Yeah, we want a great quarterback, but unless we can get one, let's go with a guy like this who, that's how Flacco won his championship. I know he was better back then, but it was a defensive
He lost his job to a rookie quarterback that they wanted to sit all of last year.
I get all that.
And the Baltimore Ravens benefit more from this than the Denver Broncos.
Well, we knew they were trading him. We knew they were getting rid of him. I'm saying it's an upgrade over Case Keenum. I'm not saying they're the favorites in the AFC. I'm saying I think it makes them better.
I'm not convinced that he's going to be the automatic starter with Denver when he gets there.
He'll beat out Keenum.
I'm not convinced of that.
I'm not convinced either. And when I look at Case Keenum and what he was able to do in Minnesota, obviously what he did.
That's one time out of how many years?
No, I get that. But you talked about Flacco being a better leader. I didn't see a better leader when I saw Case Keenum and how he rallied those guys and how they believed in his ability to win games when it counted and relying on him to get it done versus some other quarterback. But you saying that Joe Flacco is an upgrade, that's like saying what everybody thought about Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins. It's like
they thought it was an upgrade.
You thought it was an upgrade, but you pretty much got the same thing.
Well, individually it was an upgrade. Kirk Cousins has had a better individual career and is a better individual
But it wasn't an upgrade for the Minnesota Vikings last year.
Greg, do you agree with Chris that a new environment can breathe some life into a player?
Yeah, being benched can breathe some life into a player.
Well, he got two reasons to be fired up when he gets there.
Yeah, but you can be fired up, but if you don't have what it takes from a skill set component, it doesn't matter. I'm taking the same talents over somewhere else And
They didn't bring him there. They didn't bring him there to be on the bench.
This is John Elway,
they know
who got rid of Brock Osweiler and then brought him back. That's
he
what
didn't
did.
like. Again, I'm not
It has
saying.
been
I'm
a
not saying
weird
they got a great
quarterback
quarterback.
carousel over the
I'm just saying
insurance
he
policy
wasn't
right
brought
now.
there to be on the bench because he could have stayed in Baltimore to be on the bench.
You know
gives
who's not
them
on the
an
bench?
insurance policy.
Zion Williamson.
That's
Zion
right.
Williamson, a lock to become a superstar in the NBA. We'll discuss that next.
No mercy.
Time for our final topic of the day. Zion Williamson helped lead Duke's unbelievable comeback from 23 points down to beat Louisville last night. Zion had 27 points, adding to the reason why many think he will be the #1 pick in June's draft. And that pick could be made by the Knicks, who have the worst record in the league. Chris, are you all in on the Zion hype?
I am all in. And the people I talk to around the NBA about the draft, I haven't heard one yet say he's not the consensus #1 pick. Guys really like him. Now, I've got some questions about his jump shot. The three-pointer is such a big part of the game now. But his jumper's not broken. I think he can improve that. And he can getting to the holes easier than ever. He'll get to the basket in the NBA.
You saw that last
with
night
his
in the Hawks
athleticism and strength, be able to finish over the rim. The question is, if I'm the Knicks and I get that pick, am I giving him up for Anthony Davis?
I am.
I look at it this way. If I'm getting Kevin Durant and or Kyrie, or I talk to them and one of them are like, look, I want Anthony Davis with us, then I'm trading it if I get those guys with me and I'm in win now mode. If I strike out in free agency, then I'm keeping Zion.
See, I agree with you from the standpoint of if you're trying to win, the Knicks haven't won since 1973. And if you could get a star to come, and you could get Anthony
You gotta
Davis.
get somebody with him, though, right?
With him,
Right, okay.
but a known commodity, a 26-year-old who you know. There have been a lot of great college players, and people come in and go, he's the next this, he's the next that. And then you know what? The Knicks are like, we finally get the first pick, and he's a bust, or he's not as good as advertised. So if I'm the Knicks, I'm going for the known commodity.
Well, don't get rid of Zion Williamson because he is a known commodity. Like, whether you believe it or not, I like what he brings to the table. You mentioned his jump shot. He can improve, and I think he's going to improve. But when you look at every other area of his game, defensively, he's going to change the game. Offensively, he's going to change the game. And the way the league works, he can guard 1 through 5. So I like Zion Williamson. I think he would be a huge grab for any team, specifically the Knicks.
Well, like I said,
I wouldn't trade
if I had to build around either Zion or AD, and we know AD is a great NBA player. We don't know that about Zion. But if I was in the Knicks situation, I'd take him. He's going to put people in the seats. He's going to generate tons of excitement. So I would go with him if I don't have a veteran free agent ready to win.
And Greg, weren't you the guy who said that Harold Miner was Baby Jordan? And I remember you said that. Remember that?
I covered Baby Jordan.
Did you dig that from? No,
I just had to dig that
Not
out.
at all. Not at all.
But to your point, a lot of guys.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.